Streaming to you live from an undisclosed location deep within the bowels of the Rose City. It's live in Portland. It's Franklin! This week's welcome, comedy by Nathan Hart, LNP's technical madman Roy Dufek, environmental attorney and photographer Mike Getz, and music by Tevis Hodge Jr. with our in-house band, Sexy Marvin. Now here's your host. He'll keep you riveted to your seats as he gets to the nuts and bolts of our guest inspirations. Wrenching away the boredom of your Monday night, he greases the gears of the Portland independent creative scene with his own handcrafted artisanal lubricant. Just ask, he'll be happy to show you how he torques it. He's Chris Franklin!
Some weight. You look real good too. Tell me about your friend. And that's pretty much all we need to know, right? Nice. The lens cap is on. Everybody, this is episode 25 of Live in Portland. Each week we come out and showcase our creative entrepreneurs, creative musicians, and comedians. We really want to showcase what Portland is all about. And this show's been rolling for some time now. We started in early January, and now in like dinner parties and different occasions, I get introduced to people, and people ask me, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I run this company, Lost in Portland. What is Lost in Portland? And I think it's time to really address that. Lost in Portland is something that I created 5 years ago when I moved to Portland. Portland was a very dynamically different place than what I was used to. And it was almost a three-tier system. First thing I noticed in Portland, people are extremely nice. Like, they interact with you. It's something maybe in our water, you know, maybe in the nature, but very welcoming demeanors here in Portland. And second tier, we've got this creative community that's just absolutely unbelievable. I call them extreme hobbyists. People who just go to the next limit on what they want to pursue, their passion. People are very much in alignment with our passion. And the third tier, something that is kind of the foundation of it all to me, is the nature. Our access to the outdoors. It's been a huge influence for me in my creative process, and it's been a time for me to just settle, slow down time, be with a waterfall, be next to a river, be in the outdoors, and be influenced by the landscapes that surround us. And continuing on with that, Live in Portland, to me, is much like the nature in the outside, because we get to interact in a way that is not typical of how we interact in the city. We're here together, here in the studio audience, here on the Facebook live feed, to embrace one another and to enjoy the creative works that we've diligently put in to showcase something that is in alignment with everything we do. And I'm excited to bring out our first guest. His comedic works are absolutely hilarious. Everybody, make some noise for Nathan Hart.
So people can kind of tell, oh, I do get one of these. Wonderful. All right. People can kind of tell from looking at me that I do drugs. They're just not exactly sure which ones. Because I kind of like have a heroin body but an Adderall face. I'm athletic the way like a plastic bag is athletic. Like I can dodge traffic, but I'm not gonna lift more than 1 gallon of milk. Yeah, I like Portland a lot. I moved here a couple of years ago. I've learned a lot about the place since I got here. Like I learned a lot of people in Portland hate that show Portlandia. And I understand, because I'm from Tampa, Florida. I hate that show Cops. I'm trying to be a healthier person since I moved here, though, but I think all that actually means that I'm eating way more trail mix than I used to. And I don't think that's good enough. I don't think there's any sort of alchemy that turns M&Ms into health food just because you mix them with granola and then implied you can only eat them outside. Nah, alchemy is that if you put weed chocolate in your trail mix, it transmutes into couch mix. It's like lead into gold if gold made you eat all of the lead in your studio apartment. Yeah, I'm trying to be a healthier person. Like, I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks about mindfulness. So far, all I've learned is that I'll listen to anything to get the fuck out of my own thoughts. That and the closest I get to meditation is pooping while my phone is dead. If I took the charger out of my bathroom and the trail mix out of my diet, I'd spend more time in Nirvana than Kurt Cobain did. You got me. Okay. Always trust a drummer to laugh at a joke about a dead guitarist. Yeah, a lot of people are real worried about self-checkout at the grocery store. Me, personally, I love self-checkout because I don't have to talk to anyone while I'm panic attack high at 2 in the afternoon trying to buy weird meat. I'm not picking up a half pound of buffalo so I can have a conversation with somebody who also dropped out of community college. Last time I used self-checkout, I thanked the guy who watched me bag my own groceries. And that guy ignored me. Turns out he took a job as a cash register's bodyguard so he doesn't have to talk to anyone while he's high as fuck at 2 in the afternoon, watching people pick out weird meat. You know how that phrase goes, if you've got time to lean, you're getting replaced by a machine. I should have saved the symbol for them. But you only get one, folks. You only get one. Yeah, a lot of people are worried about self-driving cars. Me, personally, I'm way more worried about self-driving people. Because people have been bad at driving since we invented driving. I've been one of the first people to get behind the wheel of a Model T who was like, yeah, this thing's cool and all, but can it drift? Do you think if I gun it right now, I can jump this cobblestone bridge? Nah, I don't know. To me, the problem is that, like, accidents are always going to happen. But at least when the cars cause them, that'll all be about math. When people cause accidents, that's all about emotions. Like, your self-driving car is never going to start going 75 and tailgating on the interstate because its marriage is falling apart. Technology is a dangerous thing. Like, I've been spending way too much time on Facebook lately, and I'm not doing anything good with it. Like, I'm just on Facebook to find out what bad shit has been happening to my friends since high school. I don't want to hear good news on Facebook. I don't want to hear about how you just got a new job, or you just graduated college, or you're really happy you just had a baby. I want to hear about how you just dropped out, got fired, and you're really sad you just had a baby. I'm not on Facebook to find out my ex is fucking a doctor. I'm on Facebook to find out my ex is fucking a DJ that calls himself the Doctor. Alright guys, I think that's it for me tonight. You all have a good night.
Woo! Nathan Hart, everybody! Nathan, before you leave, let's talk. You've got a few shows coming up.
Yeah, I'm on Earthquake Hurricane over at Ford Food and Drink this Thursday, and every Tuesday night every single Tuesday at 9. Oh, he's coming down.
I
I was supposed to ignore it, but there's a man dropping from the ceiling, and I can't promote shows in the middle of that, okay? I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Of course, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the things I hallucinate when I have to promote myself. That's what I'm talking about, I guess.
You've got a residency every Tuesday.
Yeah, every Tuesday at Brody Theater, I host the open mic. Sign up on the internet, Brody Theater stand-ups. Just message me or something. I'll talk to you about it. It's complicated. 9:30 every Tuesday, and then every fourth Friday, I host the Comedy Bowl there, too, at Brody Theater.
And just one more question. Nathan, where can my audience find you on social media?
At Starving Hardest, pretty much all across the board. All right?
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
Nathan
thank you.
Hart, everybody. Marvin, take it away. That is some amazing singing. I love it. This show is so good, and we owe it all to my next guest. He's the co-founder of Live in Portland, and quite an interesting man, as you soon will see.
Hey, Jude.
Yo,
What's going on?
he's up on our roof, everybody. Roy Dufek, come on down. Oh, hell yeah. That must be the best entrance
That was
anybody
awesome.
could give. Roy Dufek, everybody. So, as you could tell, Roy not only does the tech for Live in Portland, but he's got quite an adventurous life.
Yeah.
He's fallen in love with canyoneering. He runs his own social media company. He also does volunteer work with terminally ill kids, which we're going to talk about. Roy,
Yeah.
welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it having me on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you've kind of seen this from the background.
Yeah, this is very strange to be in front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm like, woo! There's all the lights. There's the cameras. Holy smokes.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought your helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like shielding me from the nervousness.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So
Yeah.
Roy, let's talk about who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
When we met, we had mutual friends,
Yeah.
and we both did video in the outdoors. We
Exactly.
did video blogs, and our friends were like, "Hey, you got to meet Roy," and Roy's friends were like, "Hey, you got to meet Chris." And it took some time for us
It
to
did.
get together,
Yeah.
but when we did get together,
Yeah.
we absolutely clicked.
Yes,
And that
it
was
awesome.
and that was in part to our love for adventure in the outdoors.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tell me about your history and how you've developed your love for the outdoors.
Well, I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona, which is just like a valley of death. And, you know, as far as there's like mountains or there's like a few hills surrounding it, and then there's just like asphalt jungle is what we called it.
Yeah.
And I just like from a young age, I always just wanted to do more and get out and just challenge myself. And like I was climbing trees, and I'd always get to some new height. You know, I always wanted to get somewhere, right?
Right.
That was just above the ground. And so I maxed out all the little hikes that you could do around Phoenix and then surrounding areas. And then come 25, I'm out of college. I have a decent job, working on my own, and I was like, you know what? I gotta find somewhere where I can really adventure.
Yeah.
You know, and I just kind of looked around, and I was like, the Pacific Northwest has it all. It's got the beach, it's got the mountain, it's got, you know, the gorge, it's got waterfalls. Like, this is my place, and I have to be here.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and it just connected me with you and so many other adventures and so many other awesome people. And
Yeah.
it's just, the sky's the limit here. And, you know, I went from hiking to backpacking to rock climbing, and now I'm just going down waterfalls that are 150 feet, you know, rappelling down and
Yeah.
with no way out, because you have to retrieve your rope from each rappel. And so you're mid-canyon, there's no way to rescue, you know, you're inside of a slot. So I'm just pushing the boundaries just constantly. I get bored too
Absolutely.
easily.
And let's talk about your entrance into canyoneering, because
Yeah.
it's become such a passionate thing for you.
Oh man, it's so addicting. It's, you know, it's the perfect combination, like I like to talk about, it's a perfect combination of adrenaline and calm.
Yeah.
And it's because, you know, you're up at 130, 150 feet. All you have is a rope, and you're trusting a log to hold you in place, because that's what our anchors are. It's got to be natural. We don't have bolts.
Right.
We don't have things like that, right? And so we got to rappel down this waterfall, and you're looking over the edge, and sometimes you can't even see until you're at the edge, because you're kind of starting at a log that's like 5 feet from the waterfall, and you're coming down, and you look over, and you're like, oh, okay.
Hundreds of feet below.
You know, and there's, I mean, you've already taken the rope from the last waterfall. I mean, there's probably on a typical canyon, there's 5 to 7 to 8, 10 waterfalls you got to rappel down, and they're all varying lengths of feet. So then you're going down, and once you start that first one, you're committed. I mean, unless you get a helicopter drop in or something and get me like I just did, then you got to go down all the way to the bottom of that drainage, wherever that is. So
and it seems like you are extremely tied to these moments of just, whether it's you as an entrepreneur or you as an adventurer outside, you're tied to those adrenaline rushes.
Yeah, I just always, I don't know, my whole goal is to just inspire others to get out, you know, like get up, get out. And so I post in social media, and I do different things to be able to like show people like, let's look at this beautiful place you're at, you know, just go. And you know, the typical, I've done the trails, I've done the backpacking, I've done those things, and so those things, and a lot of people have done them, but now I'm like pushing the boundaries more, you know, I just get bored too fast or something. I just have to do the next thing, you know, and push myself and challenge myself to inspire others to challenge themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
And what I get with Live in Portland is you're bringing that same energy. I remember our first discussion. I was telling you, like, I'd like to do a live show. And I was like, okay, I'll set up a camera here. Maybe I'll have a microphone. And you're like, Chris, no, I have the solution for you.
I got you, yeah.
And so, like, the tech wizard you are, you set up this multicam system that we could feed live to Facebook, to YouTube, to our webpage, which you should follow, by the way. It's losttheletternportland.com. Like, most people would be spread so thin, but you seem to have a ton of energy and a ton of adrenaline for just pushing the boundaries. And that goes to your next thing that you did just recently in Alaska, Catch a Dream.
Catch a Dream, yeah.
Let's talk about that experience.
So Catch a Dream is, it's not a sister company, but it's an alternative, if you will, to Make-A-Wish Foundation. The Make-A-Wish Foundation, as most people know, is terminally ill children, usually ages 0 to 20. They have a wish, 6 months left to live-ish, and then they are granted that, whether it's meeting a celebrity or going to Disneyland or whatever it is, they're granted that one wish from Make-A-Wish. And unfortunately, for ethical reasons, they chose not to allow to be able to grant wishes for children who want to either fish or hunt.
Yeah.
Whether they want to catch a fish or they want to get that trophy before they die, which is understandable. I mean, that's totally fine for Make-A-Wish, but it didn't lend well for, you know, these kids that did have that wish. And so Catch a Dream was created, I think like 20 years ago or like 15 years. It's relatively new compared to Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
So and then I had the opportunity to go up and be a part of it, and now extend and further. I'm going to Missouri in September to do a little bit more filming. Because filming is kind of my forte.
Totally.
So yeah, and so it was really cool. It was just super eye-opening, and it's amazing how someone with just like not much left to live, and he had leukemia, non-Hodgkin's leukemia, 3rd time remission, and the kid's more happier than like everyone in this room. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely nuts that someone can be that happy, and it's just like it to tears at the end of the experience. It was like coming home from camp and you're just leaving everyone and you're crying, and it was just like unbelievable. And he made all of us laugh and had all the jokes, and it's just incredible. And he caught a fish, bigger fish than everyone there in Alaska. We're in Kenai River, Alaska.
Yeah.
He catches the
Fish
biggest
are
fish.
huge. Yeah.
And these professionals are standing around, their waiters, they've been fishing for 40, 50 years, and he does 2 casts into the water and just by luck catches like the biggest sockeye that was caught the entire trip we were there, the entire week and a half, 2 weeks. It was amazing. So he got to catch it. It was cool. He caught his dream.
That's really, he caught his dream. And I think that's beautiful. And I also think it's beautiful that through your fight with life-threatening illness, you're particularly tied to this. And I mean, it's a sensitive subject, but if we could please talk about that, because I think it is a driver in the things that you do.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed about a year and a half ago now of something called scleroderma, and it's a progressive skin disorder, but for me, unfortunately, it's affecting a bit more than just skin. It's going into the organs, and so my tendons are getting tighter, and I'm getting weaker, and my energy is dwindling, and so I'm trying to live life to the fullest, clearly.
Yeah, dropping down from our ceiling.
Down from the ceiling, and doing canyoneering and stuff like that. And there's some options, and I'm trying to get to that way, and they're getting really close in the big breakthrough of it. But it's an autoimmune disease, just like anything else. Rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, like it affects everyone differently. But unfortunately, me, it's going faster than I really want it to go.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Like,
yeah.
As opposed to slower than I want it to go.
Right.
But no, I mean, after that experience, it's just like, okay, I can't be upset. I can't, you know, I can't be like, oh, these are the cards I'm dealt. This sucks, you know. No,
Right.
I'm gonna start going down canyons.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Like, live life to live, dude. Like, gosh, man. Seriously,
Say it.
hug people.
Say it.
Like, just get out, people, and experience stuff. You know, spend the money, save the money, just travel, do what you can when you're young, because you just never know. You know what's gonna happen and what you're gonna come across. You know, we've all lost people before their time, so.
Yeah, and I think you're a precious life, and I feel incredibly fortunate that you're infusing that energy into this show, and I think it really shows.
Sure.
And I personally would love to thank you. I know a lot of the Live in Portland team. Thank you very much so much for coming out.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Before you leave, if my audience here or my audience at home wants to get in touch with you, how can they reach you? RoyDefect.com. Everything's on there, from YouTube to Instagram to social medias, everything. So ROYDUF as in Frank, E as in Edward, K.com. So that's pretty much, like the way they give me. Everything's on there, links and everything. So yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about your social media company. Can we talk about that real quick?
Oh yeah, real quick. So I run a company called Handle Social, where I manage social media advertising for like Facebook and YouTube and Google and things like that, to bring like lead generation to companies. Basically, just helping companies build their business when they don't understand the intricacies of how that kind of stuff works. And so I don't necessarily create content, but I just like am able to. I understand psychology better than a lot of people, and so I just help companies build that way.
Yeah. The man who does everything,
Yeah.
everybody, Roy Dufek. Marvin, take it away. Marvin, hell yeah. Can you interpret a little something? I'm not used to the extraterrestrial language that your friend is using. His name is Simon Wallflower. That's amazing. What part of the galaxy is he from? So sometimes in the Milky Way galaxy, he's got a solar orbit, but you traverse all kinds of universes? That's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming down to Portland. You don't know what that means. Guys, my next guest, once again, I met him in the outdoors. And since the moment I met him, it's been such an amazing connection. I've become a huge fan of him. Every single time I learn about a deeper dimension of what he does. And I'm excited for you guys to get to know him. Mike Getz, come on out. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Once again, a man of many passions, but it's all encompassed in the outdoors. I think I could start this interview off by maybe you telling me what natural spaces mean to you.
Well, yeah. To me, being up in like really exposed high alpine reaches, there's something about it. Whether it's the physical pursuit of kind of pushing your limits and getting up into those kind of zones, and you know, the really expansive views that you can see, and to me that there's actually a really big spiritual component as well.
Yeah.
Chatting a little bit earlier about like getting into a meditative state, to me, you know, leaving my phone behind or putting it on airplane mode and being in those kind of places are kind of as close to being like the higher self that you know, I know that I am, maybe than any other place that I'm in. So I think it's kind of that physical and mental and spiritual connection to those kind of beautiful wild places that has kind of driven me in my pursuits in that regard, and also in my career as well. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about your career. You're an environmental scientist. You're an environmental attorney, focused on utilities for the people of Oregon. Finding more natural resources. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I grew up outside of Chicago originally. I moved to Oregon about 8 years ago for law school down in Eugene at the U of O. And I was an environmental science major before that, was kind of always drawn to the outdoors and to these kind of natural spaces, and decided to kind of go down a career path to help preserve and protect them.
Yeah.
I can kind of bring it all back to a really profound experience I had when I was studying abroad in Australia and doing a tropical rainforest studies program. And this area had just been totally hammered by logging throughout most of the 1900s. Really kind of pocketed fragments left of this like virgin rainforest that used to be kind of all across the landscape.
Yeah.
But in 1988, it was listed as a World Heritage Site. And so there's a complete moratorium on logging after that. So I was actually able to see how changes in policy and regulation can physically affect a landscape.
Absolutely.
And so that's when I kind of made the decision to, you know, go down that route. Like I said, I came out here, been in Oregon for 8 years, like I said, and yeah, the work that I do now, work for an organization called the Oregon Citizens Utility Board, or CUB, and yeah, we are the advocate for residential customers of the big investor-owned utilities in the state. So whenever the utilities want to build a new power plant or raise rates at all, we always have a seat at the table kind of advocating for residential customers. And because we're an independent nonprofit, we're able to kind of use that ratepayer advocacy angle and be a little more creative in making climate change type arguments as well.
Damn. So we're talking about public lands, and we're talking about private, almost monopoly industry. Like when we're talking about utilities, there's not a lot of competition.
Yeah.
And like you said, you do get a seat at the table because of legislation. Tell me a bit about like what that process looks like when they do want to push to build coal mining utilities or stuff that is not definitely sustainable and leaching from the land.
Yeah, certainly. So we're fortunate here in Oregon that we have a pretty progressive energy policy overall, and the utilities that we work with we're starting to see them come around and kind of be committed to a more sustainable future. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. They do function like monopolies. They are monopoly corporations, so large investor-owned companies, Portland General Electric, PGE, Northwest Natural, Pacific Power, wagered that, you know, some folks in this room are customers of those utilities. And so because they function like monopolies and provide this essential service, electricity or heat, whenever they want to raise rates or build a new power plant or do anything, they need to come before this regulatory body, what's called the Oregon Public Utility Commission.
Yeah.
And so, for example, 3 years ago, PGE came in and proposed to build a brand new natural gas plant in the Columbia River Gorge out near Boardman.
Right.
And my organization and several other ones really opposed that because when you start talking about resource acquisition at that type of scale, utilities can only procure it if it's the least cost and the least risk. Pretty easy to figure out what the cost is going to be, and that can be subject to some fluctuation in, like, you know, natural gas market pricing, for example.
Right.
But as far as the risk component, we've seen coming down through the legislature over the years here in the Pacific Northwest and Oregon specifically, carbon pricing and taxing initiatives. One of these years that's going to get passed.
Yeah.
And so when that does happen, a fossil fuel generating plant would have significant costs added to it. And the type of investment that is needed to make an investment in that size plant gets spread out over 30 or so years. And so as the ratepayer advocate, suddenly you're asking customers to be saddled with this risk for 30 plus years that this dirty generating plant might then take on additional costs in the future. They're subject to unplanned outages and things like that.
Yeah.
And so we actually helped stop them from building that plant, and they ended up entering into hydroelectric contracts with BPA instead.
Perfect. And you are an advocate for the consumer, which is an important portion of this. Your ideals are to create more green technology and gain our power from solar and water dams, correct?
Yeah, and once again, kind of getting back to Oregon being a progressive policy state, so the legislature passed in 2016 this big top-down landmark bill that we're the first state in the country to legislatively mandate coal out of our electricity generation mix. And so that's by 2030, we're going to completely remove coal from the mix. And so it did that, and it also doubled our renewable portfolio standard, or RPS, up to 50% by 2040. So by 2040, as these coal plants are getting phased out, there's kind of enough time for the utilities to plan and work with stakeholders to make sure that new renewables are brought on to kind of fill that load need that's being left when the other plants close. And so we're kind of working within the framework of that legislation and making some of the economic arguments like the ones I kind of alluded to earlier. We're able to kind of help them in that transition.
Mike, I want to applaud you, and we definitely should. For the hard work that you do. I also want to tap into your mind when you are on top of a mountain, because you seem to do it often. It seems to be, a driving force in your life. Can you take us through one of your favorite summits and the mindset you gained on top of that mountain?
Yeah, there have been several. The most recent one that I just got back from a couple of weeks ago, I took 4 days and went on a mountaineering trip in North Cascades National Park into the Glacier Peak Wilderness. It's called the Ptarmigan Traverse. And so instead of just kind of one big summit, I've climbed Hood several times, Shasta, Rainier, Adams, a lot of kind of these big volcanoes in the Pacific Northwest. But this was a much different experience because it was, you got to plan almost like a backpacking trip, bring enough food and water and things like that for you to be out there for several days. But at the same time, we also have crampons and ice axes, and we're working on rope teams because we had to cross 5 glaciers.
Wow.
And it's just incredibly beautiful up there. I mean, you get up on some of these ridges, and it was my first time really spending time in the North Cascades, and it's just a seemingly endless area. And kind of like I said, there's something incredibly cathartic to me about spending time in those places and being in places that are truly wild. Coming back from that trip, it was just incredibly re-energizing and invigorating. I saw a mountain lion, and we kind of had a little staring contest for a little bit. So that was kind of crazy.
Well, a lot of these journeys, I think you're getting a lot of the energy because they're not without risk. You are definitely risking your life, and you're putting a lot of trust into your equipment and teammates. Tell me a bit about what pushes that limit for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of a situation where, you're able to mitigate some of that risk by, going through training, and I have had training in crevasse rescue and a lot of those types of things, being conservative in your judgment and picking, when the conditions are right and things like that out there. I have training in avalanche, risk mitigation and things like that. And so it's kind of, the more the more comfortable you can be kind of putting yourselves into some of those places. And then also it's my friends that I go out there with. And, a lot of them I've been on a lot of different trips with. And it's just we have a really tight community in that regard. And, some people might know more than me about some rope skills, but I know maybe something more about something like this. So it's you can kind of take the holistic knowledge of the entire group to kind of mitigate some of that risk.
And work as a cohesive unit.
Yeah, definitely. And I think kind of pushing yourself past some of those fear and risky situations and finding it to the summit and then making it back to the car. I always try to strive for type 2 fun, right? It's kind of suck for a little bit when you're in it, or it's scary, or you think something might go bad, but then you go back to the car and have a beer about it later and laugh, and that was a good time.
Talk about how you almost died. So for my audience and the people here in Portland, as a man who is summiting mountains, is on the front lines of green utility, what are some impactful things you could spread to the community?
Yeah, I think it's just, no matter how incremental it can seem at times, there's good work to be done out there, and like we kind of have this organization that I work at Cub. We kind of have this grand vision of, decarbonizing the electric sector and really kind of transitioning these utilities. But frankly, in the day-to-day, sometimes I can be, bogged down in regulatory filings and cases that, it's kind of hard to see the forest through the trees kind of situation. But yeah, just continuing to know that, there's good that can be done and working hard towards it, and kind of seeing the bigger picture has really been helpful to me, and then kind of segueing that into the outdoor adventure stuff as well. Just trying to find balance and trying to find something that, brings you joy and fulfills you in a way that work might not be able to, and kind of using the two to, augment each other can be really impactful.
Awesome. Mike Getz, everybody. Mike, before you leave, where can my fans here at the show and Live in Portland find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Mike Through a Lens, all underscores between all the words. And then, my organization is Oregon Cub, and we're at OregonCUB.org. Mike Getz on Facebook. I'll be around.
Awesome. Mike Getz, everybody. Marvin, take it away. Blues music? Yeah. Do you guys like blues music? Yeah. I'm so excited to have our next guest out. He's such amazing vocalist. He's magic on the guitar, and we are truly fortunate to have him on this show. Tevis Hodge Jr., come on out.
Doing all right out there? Killing me, crying, can't heed mama, sure Lord is killing me, crying that can't heed mama, sure Lord is killing me, crying mama, 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 crying, can't eat round my bed. Crying, can't heed mama, sure Lord around my bed. Crying that can't heed mama, sure Lord around my head. Well, mama, 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 that can't heed is killing me. Oh, Lord is killing me. Well, if that can he don't kill me, I believe I'll never die. Well, mama, 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 love the blues is a hot old shaking chill. Well, mama, mama, blues is a hot old shaking chill. If you ain't never had them, these songs here was recorded in the 20s originally. But this is my own rendition here. This is a Son House tune. My black mama, what's the matter with you? Well, my black mama, low now. What's the matter with you? Yeah, it ain't satisfactory, Lord. Sure don't care what you do. My black mama, shine like the sun now. Well, my black mama, low now. Shine like the sun. Lipstick and powder sure won't help her none now. Get a letter this morning. How y'all reckon it read now? I got a letter this morning, low now. How y'all reckon it read? Said that gal, your love is dead. I didn't feel so bad till that sun went down. Till that sun went down. I didn't feel so bad, my tell that soul down now. Didn't have no soul, throw my arms around. I went in my room, bow down the break, way down, bow down the break. But the blues came along, took my spirit away now. Mama, what's the matter with you? Well, my black mama, low now. What's the matter with you? Ain't satisfactory. Don't care what I do.
Talk for a bit. Tevis, tell me about your relationship with the blues.
Well, the blues was introduced to me at an early stage of my life. I'm mixed race, and my father's side was Southern, and at an early age I heard blues music. Then my father passed away when I was about 10 years old. I started playing music when I was 6. So a way to sort of medicate myself and sort of, express my heritage and get in touch with my father's side of the family, I kind of took into playing blues music.
Yeah.
And I've been playing it about since the age of 12 or so. And it's certainly been, kind of the major thing in my life, really.
Totally.
Playing blues.
Yeah, and I could tell it's where like your passion meets your purpose. Like this is something you were born to do.
Yeah.
Your music's beautiful.
Thank you.
You've got some shows coming up this week.
Yeah, that's right. So let me think here. I'm going to be playing at the Spare Room. That would be on the second Sunday of the month. I am playing there every second Sunday, so that's kind of a residency. I'm
Yeah.
playing at the Albina Jazz Fest,
Yeah.
and that is on August 11th. I'm playing there at 12:30. It's kind of a festival to celebrate the history of black music in Portland.
Okay. Yeah.
There's kind of a big history of jazz in the Albina neighborhood.
Absolutely.
From the 40s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it's a festival to celebrate, the black history in Portland and how it played a role in,
And the shaping of Portland.
in the shaping of Portland.
We often could go without recognizing that, there was a huge influx of African American journeymen who moved up here for World War II. A lot from Louisiana, brought up this amazing music. Portland has a very rich jazz culture
Totally.
here, and it's awesome that you are a part of it with your blues singing.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're young, but it like the music resonates.
Thanks,
It
yeah.
feels timeless.
Well, I've been really into it kind of, since I was aware of it, which was about 11 years old or so. So
yeah.
I had heard it at an early age, but I was reintroduced to it through the Blues Brothers, actually. It's a great movie.
Nice.
And then I was like, oh yeah, blues music. That's right.
Yeah.
Tevis.
Tevis, where can my audience reach you on social media?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Reverb Nation and Twitter. Just Tevis Hodge Jr.
Tevis Hodge Jr., everybody! Marvin, take it away! Was that not some extraterrestrial shit right there? Yeah. Give it up for my house band. This is episode 25. Each and every week we showcase Portland's creative entrepreneurs. I'm so excited to reach this level at episode 25. Next week we have our show at Secret Society. I hope you all could come out. It's going to be an excellent show. We've got an amazing lineup. But this is one for the books, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. This is episode 25. Thank you to the Live in Portland team. Thank you to our in-studio audience. Thank you to our audience at home. This is episode 25 of Live in Portland. Thank you so much. Take it away, Marvin.